y'all taking time out of this very busy school year that we've got going to learn about some of the topics that we've identified would be helpful to our faculty and staff. So what I've provided for you, it came in as an evaluation form. It's part of our assessment process with Higher Learning Commission accreditation, which would be most helpful for us to evaluate our performance today. Not your performance, but what were the information we're providing. So I appreciate that opportunity. Usually, it's the positive in the box section of the topic. The top of the stairs, you don't need to do anything. It's confidential. And with that, I'll let Becky introduce our speaker.
Okay, thanks for coming, everybody. It's my pleasure to introduce to you today Dr. Christie Hough. Dr. Hough attended Mississippi State University, where she received 2 degrees in business administration with a concentration in accounting. She then completed her PhD at Jackson State University with a major in management and a minor in accounting. Her dissertation and most of her research is in business ethics. Last year, she and co-authors received the Distinguished Research Award from the Academy of Educational Leadership for research on motivation and ethics. She received the Research Excellence Award for the SAU College of Business and the Outstanding Graduate Advisor Award, both for the 2013-14 academic year. She is the Director of the MBA program and Assistant Professor of Management at SAU. While all that sounds impressive, she prefers quiet time while riding four-wheelers, hunting, and crafting with her husband and their 5 children. So please help me welcome Dr. Christie Hough.
How y'all doing this morning? Good. Yeah, I heard some things in the back of my head about Mississippi State. I wanted you to know I heard that. Okay? And the second thing is, I am the MBA director at SAU, and you get free tuition over that way. So my first order of business, and I got permission from Dr. Aaron, is to recruit you. Right? You can come over there, you can give me a call, you can send me an email. I have just a few business cards, and get your MBA. If you already have a bachelor's degree in business, that'll take you 30 hours. Tara is actually in the program now. I think Graham Peterson, maybe a couple of other people are doing the program. And I don't know if you've ever been on SAU's campus. I'm fairly new. This is my 4th year in Southern Arkansas, and I love it. Maybe I'm a little bit prejudiced, but I think the College of Business is probably the best college at Southern Arkansas University, but I enjoy it. We all work together really well. If you have an issue, Tara, please don't shut me down while I'm preaching here. But I think you can talk to us. We're very willing to help you. We all want you to succeed. And as the director of the program, I'll make sure that you get everything you need. I try to answer really quickly. We email back and forth just like we were text messages. They were just that fast. But so I'm really glad to be here today. All of those fun things, you did all this. You got the rewards, whatever. I'd a lot rather be at Mississippi State watching the Bulldogs play or riding my four-wheeler. So just so you know, this is Sunday attire. So we're going to talk about ethics today. I know you all got so excited when they sent out the memo that said, come here, the crazy lady from SAU. Of course, you know I was crazy at that point. Talk about ethics. When we say ethics, what do you immediately think of? Oh, by the way, when I ask questions, I actually want you to talk. So when we say ethics, what do you think we're talking about?
Integrity.
Integrity. Good.
Doing the right thing.
Doing the right thing. Okay. How do we decide what's the right thing? Policies and procedures. Cut and dry. You're a rule guy, aren't you? Bet he's nice today. Sometimes, and I'm going to talk a lot about ethical dilemmas today. I'm also going to, there was a sheet given to you when you came in, talking about how to go through the steps of ethics, decision making. But a lot of times, the right thing isn't in the rule book. sometimes those decisions are not easy. They're not good. Let me tell you about it. Is lying good or bad? Oh yeah, you can catch on bad. Lying is bad. Usually. Right? All the bosses in the room said, don't ever lie to me, right? You know, look, today will be 35. Of course. Liar! Is that ethical?
Yes, it
If
is.
you're a husband, you better tell me that. Right? We want our husbands to lie to us. Do I look nice today? No, that looks pretty bad on your butt, honey. Right? No, ma'am, you're beautiful. You don't have to tell me. Just kind of avoid the question. I think you're beautiful. My eyes think you're beautiful. You might be ugly as dirt. Right? Wait, so lying is so good sometimes. It's my husband. You better. Yeah, exactly. I have one more example I'm going to give you that has nothing to do with whatever job you do. I understand most of you are staff members. Any faculty in the room? Oh, that's some faculty too, okay. There's a train coming down the tracks. And you are standing at the switch. The train's brakes are out. And there are people on the tracks, on both tracks where the train is going to take the split, that are going to die, regardless of which side you switch the train to. There are 5 people on one side of the track, and there's 1 on the other. They're tied down, they're caught in the railing, something. Which way are you going to switch the track? To the one person. Is that what you're going to do?
Depends.
It depends? Y'all are stupid! How? What does it depend on? Who's the one person? So the one person might be your mom. Them 5 folks are dead, right? There's 5 dead people. Right? I mean, you know, I do what? If it was terrorists, let them be run over. Gotcha. You would assume that. I mean, we're talking a quick split-second decision here. You don't have a lot of time to go check their IDs. What if the one person is you? Five dead people. Just 5 dead people, right? You see what the point here is, though? In ethical dilemmas, there's not an easy choice. Now, there are things that are right and wrong, and those are in the rule book. And we don't even always choose the right thing then. But you're going to also come up against ethical dilemmas. That there's no right or wrong choice. Well, maybe there's 2 wrong choices. How do you pick? We're going to talk about some theories of ethical behavior. We're going to talk about how to go through that sheet that I had printed and given to you. But the truth is, you better know before the time comes what your value system is like. Because if you don't already know and you're put on the spot, today's the day. You have to choose. Somebody's getting run over by the train today. 2 seconds from now. You don't have time to decide. You have to already know what your value system is by that point in time. Okay, I'm going to check my notes occasionally. They asked me if I wanted to use the PowerPoint. My assumption is you all can read. Professors, I'm sorry, professors that do this. I don't use PowerPoints because I have professors that read to me on the PowerPoint. I don't like that. That's just me. It's not them, I give my students PowerPoint, I hand you a handout. But I'm not going to read to you, so if that's okay. We're going to talk about 5 ethical theories. The first one is the utilitarian theory. And y'all, you can look at every one of these with every ethical decision you have to make, and the deal is you're probably going to make the one that works best for you. And utilitarian is usually the one you're going to make work for you. It says this one does the most good or the least harm to people. Okay? So we can make decisions based on whether it does the most good or the least harm. Okay, so based on the utilitarian thought in the train track incident, who's going to die? The one. Absolutely, the one. Okay, so that was pretty easy, right? The rights approach. This is, it best protects and respects the moral rights of those affected. Uh-oh. What about the rights of the one? So much for the utilitarian approach. Now, if we're doing the rights approach, it's my right to choose not to kill my mama. Right? See, the rights approach often gets us in trouble. Because this is where that justifying, blaming, coming up with reasons why it's okay to do something we know really shouldn't be done, is because we say it's within my right. Somebody mistreated me, so it's okay for me to do this. And we're talking things like talk behind your boss's back about it. Or pad the expense account just a little bit. Is it okay to pad the expense account? What about, this is a good one. What about being on Facebook for 3 hours of your 8? Oh wow, you don't have a Facebook account, do you?
Yes, I do.
Really? 3 hours is nothing. Half my students. 3 hours? Check email at work? Your personal email? Are these things okay? Is that your right? Is it any different to check your email at work or to pad your expense account? Ooh, it got quiet here.
One of the auditors are going to catch.
Do what?
One of the auditors are going to catch.
Okay, so you don't think you'll get caught if you're on Facebook for 3 hours?
You will get caught there, but you're guaranteed to get caught with your expense account.
Oh, okay. So we gotta watch the auditors. So if we're back to the just staying legal thing, right? As long as we're legal, we're good. Is that always a good way? Is that the best ethical theory that you can go by? As long as I stay legal, I'm good. Because y'all, do you know, back to the accounting, sorry, nobody broke the law when Enron went busted? They did unethical activities. That's what they did. That, by the letter of the law, the accountants did what the letter of the law allowed them to do. But they knew that they were hiding something. People went to jail for hiding stuff. So there must be something legal somewhere, huh? But the bottom line is they thought they followed the law, the letter of the law, not the spirit of the law. So just being legal, just following the rules. I followed the rules. Why do we have to keep making more rules and more rules and more rules? Because people skirt them. Let me see how here's the line. Anybody had a 2-year-old? Anybody know any 40-year-olds? Because they ain't just like 2-year-old, 40-year-old. Right? No! I saw that policeman coming over here today from Magnolia. What did I do? Oh, did I put all that in there? No,
He had a good reason to be speeding.
they can talk to you,
There you go.
right? Okay. Justice approach. We should treat all humans fairly, justly. The problem is, I want to be treated justly, fairly. I don't really care about you. If it works out good, if it's fair to me and it works out that it's fair to you, yay! We win! Right? But if it just happens to work out really fair for me, and you, okay, whatever. Because frankly, y'all people don't care about each other. They don't. If it works out good for me and for you, good. On the same note, I'm not out to get you either. Because I don't care enough about you to be out to get you either. I have students who are convinced, we had homecoming last week, right? Go Mule Riders. That were convinced that we all sat down, had a little convocation, all the professors got together, and planned all the tests last week. Y'all do that over here, right? We planned all the big papers for that week. Yes, we want you to stay out till midnight or 4 a.m. and finish your paper too, because I can't read that paper. Right? We don't plan those things because we're not thinking about that kind of thing. We don't think about that. I don't think about whether being late for class is going to offend you. It just happened. You know, I don't think about whether getting your paper back on Thursday or on Monday is going to offend you in some way. I did all I could do. I'm not trying to offend you in some way. We don't go around worried about hurting somebody's feelings or being just for you. I'm worried about being just for me, for the most part. Now, y'all don't get me wrong. I'm really not a negative person, and I do really care very much about what happens to other people. I care very much about what happens to my students, but I don't sit around thinking up ways to irritate them. And they think we do. They think we do. It's just crazy. Common good approach. What is the best idea for society? Even if it means it's not good for you, what's the best idea for society? That's one way to decide what's ethical. The virtue approach. This is probably the one we most think of. Several of you said this. Is it moral or is it virtuous? Is it honest? That's usually where we get our ethics from. And we don't want to talk about it, but that's usually from our upbringing. You know, were you raised with good people? Or did you grow up, anything goes? Be out for number one. That's where part of our virtue comes from. Is integrity still a good thing? What is integrity? Moral compass, that's a good example. I'm going to tell you what my mom taught me. Integrity is who you are when nobody's looking. It's not who you are in front of me. Because you're going to be a good person in front of me. My students come in my office. Oh, I have a box of Kleenex sitting on my desk. Can you imagine what that's there for? Because I'm a man to cry. Because you're going to come in there and tell me, I didn't plagiarize, Dr. Hough. Wait a minute. I just ran this through 2 plagiarism checkers. And I read your paper. And I also read what you wrote on my test. And you can't write like that. But you didn't plagiarize. You know, the problem with my students is they don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's the same thing in other areas of life. Whatever our pet unethical behavior is, we think nothing's wrong with that behavior. That's the one that nobody better touch it. Speeding down the road, or lying just a little bit, little white lies, or flattery.
Gossiping, I just told them.
Yeah, yeah, just told what happened. Or flattery even. Flattery to somebody you really can't stand. You've been talking bad about their behind their back all day long. But they walk in the door and you're like, oh, how are you today? You having a good day today, Ann? Oh, man, I'm so glad. So nice to meet you. Baloney. Could care less about meeting you. Right? Okay, I really don't mean that to say that. I don't mean that at all. But that's how we act. We're all nice to people's face. I would never lie to you. I would never plagiarize my paper, Dr. Hough. Never. Are you kidding me? I'm a good person. Yeah, your paper tells me otherwise. Your pad expense account tells me otherwise. You're using up 4 hours out of every day on personal something, telephone, on the phone calls, on the emails, on the Facebook. You may not be doing 3 hours on Facebook, but between Facebook, email, and personal phone calls, I guarantee you people use up half their day. What is that? It's theft. That's exactly what it is. It's theft. And some of y'all, every time I mention that, y'all get really quiet. Maybe you should check up on this. Is it legal for your employer to look at your internet activity? What's going to happen if they start doing that? Don't shout. Don't shout the answers. Some of y'all just went, I'm going to be looking for a job. on company time. Do you think it's wrong to use company time for personal? What if your husband calls and says your child is sick? Do you have time? Can you make a call to a doctor to get an appointment for your child? Most employers are just fine with that. You know, it's up to your employer how much personal stuff you can do at work. No, I mean, there's some extent of if you're a receptionist and you have to sit there and the phone's not ringing and you want to read a book or you want to, I don't know, play a game, I don't know, what's hot today? I don't even know what things are hot. I don't have time. But if you want to do some of that and you really don't have other things to do, but they need your body there, that's one thing. But if you have work that needs to be being done, and after a while I come back and I ask you, where is that Excel spreadsheet I asked you to do? And you're like, oh, I don't know. I don't get right on that. I'm fixing to look for me a student worker or graduate assistant because I needed that now. And you've been playing on Facebook. Y'all get my point, right? Facebook is my generic everything that's more important to you than me. Because to this group, probably Facebook is it, except for you apparently. But for the younger student, for my students today, Facebook isn't it anymore. So just give me a heads up. They're into something else now. I'm too old. Snapchat or there's a new one called Yik Yak. If you haven't heard of that, check it out. They're talking about you. Because they can do it anonymously, and they don't care what they say. Trust me, it's ugly. So what do we do? How do we make an ethical decision? How do you make an ethical decision? Do you already have a compass, a moral compass inside of you that says, I won't do this? How close to that line do you get? The problem sometimes is not what your moral compass is but what the manager of the department's moral compass is. Because you want to keep your job. Y'all don't shout me down. All the bosses in the back just went, but it's true. The culture, the environment of any organization affects greatly the ethical behavior of the people in that department. Just wrote a paper with Dr. King Green, who's written 50 or 60 papers. Yeah, he's like a research guru, and I'm like nothing. But we did a study on ethical behavior and personal, and the performance aspect of a company. We researched whether an ethical environment affects job performance, affects trust, and affects organizational performance. What do you think? If I believe, and that's another thing, it's my perception. It's not whether it's true or not. Okay? Because sometimes, some people think that I work in a really, okay, let me put it this way. I've been at SAU for 4 years. This is my 4th year. My first year here, I thought SAU was the most ethical place in the world. Everybody was wonderful. They were perfect. They never did anything wrong. I loved my job. I still love my job. Yeah, I found out they're not quite as perfect as I thought they were. You know, you get back and forth between colleges and different stuff like that. But it's my perception of whether I work for an ethical company or not is what's important. So management, administration, the boss, whoever that person is, needs to know if you feel like you work in an ethical environment. And they need to cultivate that. And I got news for you. That's what they're doing today. They make me stand up here, wave my arms, and make you laugh, and hopefully encourage you that they're trying to do something about ethics. Okay? Hopefully this will succeed at some point in some small way. Because your perception is extremely important. Do you think that your boss is ethical? Because if you think your boss is padding their expense account, what you gonna do? Because that affects your integrity. I mean, that shows me your integrity. Just saying. Because even if your boss is doing it, maybe you shouldn't. No, definitely you shouldn't. Because if the boss gets fired, then you're right behind them. Okay? But it's not that way. In the real world, if the boss is not a person of integrity, and that's the norm, then we think that's the norm, and we should do it too. You have to have more integrity than the boss does. That's tough. And generally doesn't happen very much. What if you're the boss, though? What if you're the director, the dean, the chair, whoever is in your personal department? You have to show over and above integrity. You have to. Because you cannot expect something out of the people that work with you that you're not willing to do yourself.
I think that's always easier as long as people have the same perspective as to what the ethical,
And how do we make sure that happens? I have an answer.
What did you say after?
How do you think that happens? How do we make sure that everybody understands what's expected? Communication, talking. Just like we're doing today. Is it okay to pad the expense account? No, it's not. Is it okay to be on your computer for a little while? Sure. You can spend, okay, y'all, we do a Research Friday over at the other campus over there, and we spend 25 minutes, it's some big fancy name, sorry, I don't remember, where we spend 25 minutes, nobody talks, nobody does anything, you spend 25 minutes on your research. And then the little dinger goes off, and you spend 5 minutes looking up, looking around, taking a break. And then the ding goes off, and you spend 25 more minutes looking down, doing your work, working hard. Y'all, I did that for the first time about 2 weeks ago, and I went, because I thought, you can distract, when I get that 5-minute break, it's going to distract me, it's going to mess me, I want to work 5 hours straight and get knocked out. I was shocked. I'm over 35, for those of you who just had earlier, and I learned something. That worked great. So maybe telling your employees to take a 10-minute break every hour, they'll actually be more productive. But communicate that. This is okay and this is not okay. If you're very communicative about what's expected, and if it changes, communicate that too. Funny story, my boss, who's the dean, we went out to lunch. We do that a lot. Like I said, we're a great group of people. We went out to lunch one day, and there's this little dress shop. We were on the square in Magnolia. Some of y'all are probably familiar with that. There's this great little dress shop next door to the place we were eating. We went in there, and they had these Palooza pants. This was before they were popular, though, and the boss said, y'all ain't wearing pajamas to work. She communicated just fine. That was last year. This is this year. Pajama pants are just fine this year. Isn't that funny? See, the rules change sometimes. Because Palooza pants, pajama pants, are popular and they're cool and they're the hot thing to do. But she communicated that to us, y'all. You know, those are actually really cute. We change, our perception changes what happens, right? So communication is so important. We have to communicate what is expected and what's okay and what's not okay. Because a lot of times people come in and they don't know. New people. I was a new people 4 years ago, and I have to tell you, I walked around for a little while going, I'm not really sure what's expected of me. You're brand new, 6 months on the job. You still walking around trying to get your feet on the ground? You know? What do they expect here? What's to be done there? Communicate. Tell them what's expected. And the new way to do that, and it's not new, we've been doing it forever, is mentoring. But you want to pick really good ethical mentors. You don't want people to go, you know, you can get out of it. Right? You want people that will communicate the ethics of your culture. Hopefully you have an ethical culture. Right? We're not starting from nothing. Oh, okay, good. I was pretty sure that in an hour I wouldn't even get that communicated. But y'all, we need to encourage each other to do the right thing. But the way that we do that usually comes with recognizing that there's an issue. If you don't think there's an ethical issue, are you going to make an ethical decision? You might get lucky. Right? You might not. But if you don't even recognize that something's wrong, and y'all, we do this. You think I'm just shooting the breeze here. But the truth is, sometimes we don't even realize there's an ethical issue. I don't realize that student, prime example. I was in class about 3 weeks ago, and I have these 3 internationals sitting right over here. I have a U-shaped classroom because I'm being constrained today, but I'm usually right up in everybody's face, talking to you and doing stuff, and she wouldn't let me do that. I could, give me hop the bench. Yeah, hop the bench. No. I might get hurt. I started with a trainer last week. Anyway, so these 3 students are sitting over there, the 3 international students are sitting back over here, and I made some comment about the halo effect. And I made some, you know me, I'm just like you don't know me, but I certainly get a point that I'm kind of demonstrative, and I made some kind of comment about, you know, those angels in the room. And the guys, the 3 internationals were sitting there going, what is she talking about? Y'all, I didn't realize that in some way I had offended them because I used a word they didn't understand. That's unethical. So, like the guy, one of them, who's very bright, I love this student. I love having internationals in my room, by the way, because we talk a lot about culture, and cultures are different. And sometimes people do something that may offend you, and they didn't even mean to. They're just doing what they're accustomed to. It's the way they do things. Well, this young man is bright enough and is just such a cool guy. And he came to my office and he said, Dr. Hough, we don't understand this halo thing. And I was like, oh my goodness. And I'm going on in there for like 2 minutes talking about the halo effect and how we put people on a pedestal and they have halos on their head. And he didn't even know what I was talking about. So many times we greet an ethical dilemma and act like it's not even there. We don't even know something's happening. So we have to first recognize that there's an ethical decision to be made. Because if it's always, we always did it that way. I'm pretty sure, I've been here a while now. In Mississippi, Mom said do it that way. You know the story about the rose getting cut off because Mama's pot was too short? And you still cutting the ends off the pot roast because that's how Mama did it. Roast is too expensive, people! But we do the same thing. You're laughing. You think that's funny. And it is. But we do the same thing. Why do you write that on your expense report? Because that's how I was told to do it. That's how it's always been done. Why do you talk to so-and-so that way? Because that's the way it's always been done. Why do you treat your student workers like peons? Because that's the way it's always been done. They're people too. And they got feelings too. Now there's so many ethical things, or unethical things, that we have just done them that way forever, and we don't even recognize it as a problem. So you've got to start with recognizing there's a problem. And then what do you do? Oh, you got a sheet in there. Come on. You just do this. She's like, what? I love you. I'm really glad you said on the front. She's going, I won't do that again. What do you do? Collect all the information. I see what I didn't hear you right. Is it collect? Is that the word? Collect all the information. Okay. Can you ever get all the information about any topic? Okay, so that's just kind of sort of collect all you can get information. Because if you wait forever, who was my INTJ with it? No, it's you, my little INTJ, who has to have all the information, know all the rules, get all the stuff together, right? I'm married to you, that's why I know it. Like, not you, but yeah. Like, we don't make a decision until he has all the information. Some of you are nodding your head. You're married to him, too. And me, I'm thinking it's ready, it's pretty, let's go. I want a new car. What do you want? Let's check out the fuel mileage. Let's check out the blah, blah, blah. Who's got the best deal? Blah. No, it's red. That's it. That's the one. All the men in the room are going, for real. No? Oh, some of the women in the room are going, really? Okay, for real, that's not what I did. But almost that bad. But I knew David would look it up, too. I mean, I knew there wasn't any worry about me saying it's red. I knew he would take care of that. My point is, you can't get all the information. That same little red car that he thought would be the best car ever, 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 had the check engine light come on yesterday, and I called him up and went, something's wrong with my car. And he's like, that's not my fault, I didn't get that information. So you can't ever get all the information, but too many times, you're like me, and you see it's red and you take off. And other times you sit and wait and wait and wait because you want every little bit. So you got to go somewhere in the middle of it all. It's got to be, I mean, David needs me, bless his heart. Not from the south side, bless his heart. So he needs me to say, okay, you got 1 month to make this decision, or you got 1 week, or you know, get with it, do your research. Because at some point, you've got, in fact, some of you, if you're business people, you understand sunk costs. At some point, you got to just make a decision and go. All right? So ethics is the same thing. You can only get so much of the information that's in question. But if a student's plagiarized in my class, and now he's plagiarizing in a different class, and somebody else comes to me and goes, I need to do an academic integrity sheet on so-and-so. Yeah, that student's probably needing that academic. I mean, like, really? You know, you don't do a lot of questioning. turn it in. That wasn't a mistake. He's been caught twice before. Okay, so that's we get too bogged down in the decision making there. Evaluate the alternatives. Come up with the alternatives. What can I do? And y'all, sometimes it's stuff like kill 1 or kill 5. If you're late, you don't even have a clue what I'm talking about. Don't you feel bad for those that walked in here late? Kill 1 or kill 5? What? That woman's nuts. Sometimes those are the only 2 alternatives you have. Sometimes there's lots of alternatives. Buying a car, we could stick in me and different cars. You know what I'm saying? I mean, so sometimes it's easy. Sometimes ethical decisions are pretty cut and dry. Sometimes they're not so easy. Sometimes they're hard. Sometimes it depends on who the person is. Sometimes it depends on, I got cold today. I don't feel good. Like the photo look at it. Oh, that's not ethical. There should be an ethical guideline. But often we make the decision based on how I feel today. That's not ethical. Let me clear that up for you. And even who it is not ethical. Is it right or is it wrong? I had another professor come in my office. Can y'all tell I'm kind of like the ethics person down there? I had this other person another professor came in my office the other day and he said, call this student cheating. Of course, my radar goes up, like, okay, why are you in here? Here's the paperwork, let me give it to you. And he said, but he's international, and this is his second offense. Wait a minute, why are we talking about this? International Americans that get caught on their second offense get put on a 1-semester probation. Suspension, I don't know. They get a semester off for free to think about the error of their ways, and then they can come back and try again. Internationals don't get that. And that's why he was in my office going, do we send this kid home? He fell to his knees and he begged me, please. Okay. He turned him in. Because to me, that's cut and dry. He did plead his case. I will give him that. He gave the provost a letter that said, other than this offense, he's been very good in my class. You know, he pled his case, and they may or may not send him home. But the truth is, the right thing to do was to turn him in and let somebody else make that decision. It's not up to you. You caught him doing that. Turn him in. Because here's the problem. Every student's going to tell you it's the first time he's got caught. No, I've never done this before. Let's check and see how cloudy it is outside. But if you don't turn them in, and then they tell the next teacher that, and they don't turn them in, they're going to get right on out of school over yonder, get their little bachelor's degrees, and they're going to go, I'm from SAU, let me cheat on my taxes. Let me play on Facebook all day. Whatever the unethical behavior is that follows them outside of plagiarism. They're going to keep going if they don't learn a lesson now. Okay? That was almost preaching. You evaluate all those alternatives you come up with, and then you pick one. And how do you pick one? This is some of those theories we talked about first. You think about all the stakeholders. Who's involved here? Who am I going to hurt? Who am I going to help? Because sometimes the unethical things we do are to help somebody. Give a leg up to somebody that... Because if you're giving one person favoritism, is that just as unethical as harming a different one? Both of those were unethical. So think about all the stakeholders, we respect the rights of everybody affected. That rights theory. It's your right to make a decision for yourself. Do I have the right to tell you? I have students ask me all the time, is it okay if I miss your class tomorrow? You're right. You have the right to do that. I have the right to drop you too. It's my fourth one, but is it okay? You have the right. You're an adult. I can't tell you if you can skip class or not. I try. Because I act like a mama, because I am. But they really have the right to make that choice for themselves. They also have you have the responsibility to help them suffer the consequences of picking that right. And that's not always easy. Okay? Letting all people make their own choices. Golden rule. I'm a little bit, I'm not treat other people like they want to be treated. When you're evaluating those alternatives, why is it that we often forget that somebody else might not, that I would want to be treated that way? Okay, if I've got to do it, and I ask you if I look beautiful today, and you don't tell me I got to do it in my pants, I'm going to be mad at you. I got your number. Really, you going to let me go over to South Ark with a rip in my pants? I don't want to offend her and pull her pants with her. Offend me, please! Right? I mean, don't you treat me the way you want to be treated. I want to know if my hair is out of place. I want to know. Y'all get my point here? Treat people the way you want to be treated. If you don't want somebody invading your space, the biggest question in my office every day is, are you busy? Yes, as a matter of fact, I am. I have a picture on my door with papers piled up everywhere. And it says, are you busy? I had a phone call the other day from a little girl here in El Dorado. And she said, Dr. Hough, are you busy? And I said, no, Alexander, I was sitting here waiting for your call. Really? Okay, and then she proceeds to talk for 10 minutes. That's not the way I want to be treated. So if I call somebody, I'm not going to waste their time saying, are you busy? I know you are. Okay, either that or you're on Facebook. One or the other. But you should be busy. So why would I waste your time? Ask me what you need. I'm going to help you if I can. Better yet, send me an email and I'll get to it when I have opportunity. You know? But I don't mind. My door's open. Students have free reign in my office. It's fine. But take care of your business. That's how I want to be treated. I have a weird thing that's come up this year. I have a lot of internationals who walk in my office and just immediately go, hey, Christie! That's not how I want to be treated. I'm Dr. Hough to you. Is that weird? I want to be treated with respect. And it's not about calling me by my first name. Because everybody outside of school calls me by my first name. It's my name. My mama gave it to me. I like it. But when I'm on campus, when I'm at work, when I'm talking to a student, I'm Dr. Hough. I'm the MBA director. And it's not because I'm haughty, because I don't care about that stuff too much. I'd rather go play in the mud. But I've been offended a little bit this semester by the internationals who come in and just immediately call me by my first name. That's not respectful. And my student worker makes sure they understand that. I've got really great if you're with you need Dr. Hough. And, she thinks of that. But y'all don't walk in somebody's office that's administration or whatever unless you know them on a personal level and just call them by their first name. Okay, that's a side note there. For free. I'm charging. Treat people the way you want to be treated. The next way that you can decide what you want to do, and this is a huge one, and the people at Enron should have thought about this, is do you want to see this on the front page of the paper or on the headline of the news? Is it okay with you if we put a copy of your expense account up on the front page of the paper? Or if we tell everybody that you cussed out that student? Is that okay? And if you're okay with that, go for it. You might make it from right? Every organization has issues, and we had to do a workshop this week. We do stuff like that all the time, on sexual harassment. Do you want that to make the front page of the paper? Do you want to say something inappropriate to somebody you work with, or a student, or a coworker, whatever, and have that make the front page of the paper? Y'all, that to me, that's pretty easy. That's a pretty easy, no, I don't want that on the front page of the paper. So, therefore, the best way to keep that from happening is, don't do it. Right? So anything that you're faced with, if it's okay with you if it makes the front page of the paper, you go ahead and do it. Okay? But if it would bother you for it to make the front page of the paper, then yeah, don't do it. Just, don't do it. The other one is similar, and that's if your mom's sitting on your shoulder and sees you do it. Or because some people don't like that. Anybody that's important to you. Somebody that matters to you. Your preacher, your priest, your mama, your uncle, whoever, if that person sees you doing it, then you know if it's ethical or something of integrity or not. Do I care if my boss sees me do it? Do I care if my mom? What about my kids? You got children? Y'all, that's the biggest. Would it matter to me if my kids saw me do this? Because, I love my mother. Please don't misunderstand me. I love her greatly. Talk to her on the phone all the time. But it's okay if Mom doesn't agree with everything I do. Because sometimes Mom just doesn't agree with me. My son is 30 years old. And he picked the phone up the other night and he said, Mom, I want to do this and I want to know what you think about it. Y'all, that matters to me. You know why he asked? Because I've spent the last 30 years trying to teach him the right stuff. It matters to me what my kids think about what I do. And if I'm sitting at my desk and I'm looking at something on the internet I shouldn't be, and my kid walked in the room, I'd die. Because I've taught him all my life that this is who I am. And I'd rather die than have him walk in and see me doing something that's not who I said I was. What if my son sees me do it? That's the thing that I ask. You pick whoever's that important to you. Hopefully there's somebody that important to you. What if this person, fill in the blank, saw me do this? Cheat on my taxes, play Facebook all day long. I'm trying to teach my kids to be responsible workers. But I'm playing on Facebook, answering my emails, talking on the phone, blah, blah, blah. Y'all get the whole line thing. I'm doing that all day long. What am I teaching my child? Y'all, you know what? They know you better than anybody. Anybody. And they're really quick to tell you, you say this, but you do this. You can come tell me after this lecture, you're a crappy lecturer. I don't ever want to be in your class again. Make sure I don't get any. I'll never go in the MBA. Because I might have to sit in her classroom. Ugh. Okay, fine. Whatever. I hate that. I'd like for all of you to come be in the MBA. But you can tell me that, and I'm okay with that. But if my son comes to me and says, oh, you really suck, I'm going to try to fix that. I'm going to try to be a better lecturer. I'm going to try to be something different. Because even at way over 35, I can learn stuff. And I can do better. And I can learn to do I can figure out the right way quicker. And make sure that my son's not offended when I make a choice. How many choices a day do you make? 5. 12. 5,000. So how much time do you have to make those decisions? Do what?
It just depends on what decision it is.
My alarm clock just went off, I got to get out of bed.
So decide.
Just do it, right? I'm going to pad my expense account. Am I going to cheat on the exam I have to do? Am I going to... get my point? You better know ahead of time. You knew before that alarm clock went off that when the alarm clock went off, you were going to get out of bed, right? Or hit the snooze 3 times and then get out. I saw that one, don't worry. Before this, I was redheaded too, right? I knew the look. This is what happens when you have teenagers. Anyway. You need your ethical wherewithal to be so formed in your mind that you know when the alarm clock goes off, and the alarm clock is whatever ethical decision you have to make. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to follow the rule, regardless, period. That's what you do. You're going to do whatever will be acceptable on the front page of the paper. You're going to treat others like you want to be treated every time. You're going to respect everybody's rights, not just your own. Sometimes we're real bad to justify stuff we do. They haven't given me a raise in 3 years. It's okay if I play around for a few hours a week. I'm just making up what's mine. Really? I work with a bunch of professors on the campus, and I hear professors yak a lot. Y'all know what that means, right? I don't make enough money. I don't get this. I don't get that. Wait a minute. Every June you sign a contract. Every June. Now, either you don't sign that contract. Y'all don't give me down. Yeah, you get my point here. I want to make more money. Don't misunderstand me. I got student loans till I'm 80. But if I agree to work this year for this amount of money, I ought to give the work that's expected for that year for that amount of money. Ooh, I got some darts, just so y'all know. I said I would work for X number of dollars. And it even told me what was expected of me. They added on to my line last year. MBA director. Oh, it doesn't take much time. Don't worry about it, but you're the director. It'll be all right. I'm still a 9-month employee. Guess how many months out of the year I work? 13. But you know what? I'm going to be the best MBA director I can possibly be as long as my name's on that line. If I sign my name on that contract, I'm going to do what I said I would do. Because people notice. Why do you think people come walking in my door all the time? Here's an ethical question. I got an ethical question. Because from the time I got here, they've only seen, let's do the right thing. Do I always do the right thing? Heck no. I wish I could tell you I do. Lots of times I look back and go, man, I wish I'd done that different. But you know what? I got up this morning and I said, okay, today. I'm going to do the best I can today. Just because you haven't done the best every day doesn't mean you can't start again today. Make the ethical decisions. So what if you always been on Facebook 4 hours a day during the work day? Start the day, giving your employer what they, and y'all, I'm not getting paid by South Ark, just so y'all know that, they ain't paying me. Well, that wasn't a very good professor word, was it? From Mississippi. If you think you're a person of integrity, and most of us think we are, right? We always want to assume we're a person of integrity. Maybe, just maybe, I made you think about something that you're not as integrous in, have as high integrity as you think you do. Change it. Do something about that. Today. Starting today. You can go back. You can undo it. Okay. Okay, I think that's basically what we're supposed to talk about. Not making exceptions for ourselves, doing the right thing all the time. Do you have any questions? She said I didn't have to talk to one. My students won't believe I got through before. We never get out before time. In fact, they're picking their books up at time. Dr. Hough, we'll see you later. Do you have any questions? Not that I know the answers.
Well, you mentioned saying hello to people if you don't particularly care for, what was the alternative? What
You
do
can say hello, or you can suck up and be super duper. Oh, I love you so much. You don't care about it. You see you see the difference? I'm talking about flattery. Or brown nosing even.
I need to point out, I don't know anybody like that here.
Okay, good, yeah. He's trying to stay out of trouble. I think you should be, my personal answer to that is, I'm going to be kind to you whether I like you or not. But I'm not going to actually stand there and tell you how the weather is and what I'm doing this weekend. If, if I'm not interested in being nice to you. Like, I don't feel that way about anybody that I work with, so let me clear that up. But
People need for you to be nice to them, though.
we still should be nice, absolutely. And I'm saying be pleasant, but you don't have, it was really about pleasant. Don't go overboard with somebody that you really, I'm going to tell you what I found out works. And my mom taught me this a long time ago, and it's in a book I read somewhere. Just heap coals. You can be nice. If you don't have some ulterior motive, kill them with kindness. Just be nice anyway. Oh, sourpuss comes into work every morning with their lips stoked out so far. Maybe they just need somebody to be nice to them. That's the flip side of that. Absolutely. Just be nice. But to suck up for some ulterior motive really is what I was talking about there. Sorry. Thank you for helping me clear that up. Be nice to them. Just for the heck of it. Makes you a better person, too. Anything else? Yes.
So, obviously, educational institution, we're watching what's happening, I'm watching what's happening at UNC. One person thought she was doing the right thing for the students, and then other people thought they were doing the right thing for the institution, and some people thought that they were doing the easy thing to continue it, and decades later, you've got 3,000 students with with credits that may not have truly been earned. Who and when could they have stopped it?
Well,
The
they could have
advisors
stopped,
or-
they could have stopped it at any point. Anyone, in fact, any one person could have stood up and said, this just isn't the right thing. It's not the easy thing. It's not easy to do the right thing. It can cost you your job. I was a business manager before I became a professor with all the letters behind my name. And I had the boss came in the door one day and he said, I need you to write a check to this person who's no longer an employee. I did accounting. I have 2 degrees in accounting. Don't tell anybody because I hate it. But, I'm sorry if you're an accounting professor in here. Don't make it personal. You might not like it either. But anyway, he told me to write this check and it was the wrong thing to do. And I said, I'm not writing that check. And he said, you'll write that check or you will quit being my business manager. And I loaded up all of his stuff and I handed it to him and I said to him, that's what I'm doing. I was a student. I was actually in college trying to work my way through and had a 20-year-old and a 15-year-old trying to do that on my own. It wasn't an easy thing. But at some point, and y'all, I wish I could say I'd done that every single time that had ever happened. Somebody told me to do something. It's not true. But that time I did the right thing, so that's why I use that for right? So anytime, at some point, somebody, any one person could have stood up and said, this is not the way it should be done. Now, a lot of folks are wishing they had, because it's going to make the newspaper now. I don't want my name in there. And that's why you choose today if this makes the newspaper down the road. Am I okay with that? My thing is more often if my son is gonna hear about it or my daughter's gonna hear about it. I don't want her to hear that I was involved in something.
Something that kind of occurred to me, you're talking about your job, you were at somebody, NBA director.
You want to come get your MBA?
Actually,
You're
I'm
a-
a student, yeah, I got ULR from before.
Sorry.
Yeah, but, yeah, some of it. But, just a thought, you're talking about doing, the work that you're trying to do. Well, could you talk about, a little about, overcommitments?
Absolutely.
That you've picked up extra things you requested in conditions.
Right, absolutely. I can renegotiate my contract next year. You know, I can say next year, either you're gonna pay me for 12 months, you're gonna pay me, or, you know, if I believe that's what ought to happen. The truth is, for me, and it's different for everybody, this decision is different for everybody. My husband actually lives in Mississippi, and I like to spend summer in Mississippi. So I want a 9-month contract, and I want to be an MBA director from Mississippi during the summer. We have 100 acres and our mud ride. I can be MBA director in my sweatpants on the deck. Y'all get my point here? So for me, that works, even though I answer emails on, you know, every given holiday. But some of that I can choose too.
Well, and that's really what I was getting at, is a voluntary, oh, I like this, project, we can start this organization for the students, and, yeah.
I mean, a lot of that is personal commitment level. And I don't know, maybe it's unethical to commit to too much stuff when you know you can't do a good job on all of it. Do enough that you can do well. But they come to us and they say, nobody else can do this, and we give in. I mean, like, I'm one of those people, I know, I mean, I understand. I do get overcommitted sometime, and when Tara wrote me and said, "Could you please come and do a little speech?" Blah, blah, blah. I had a momentary, just instantaneous, like, are you kidding me? Something else on my calendar. But my calendar's empty that day, and so, and well, I think it worked out okay. But I love doing this. I don't know about you, but like, I love talking about ethics. It's just fun. And I love people looking at me like a calf in New Gate going, you gotta be kidding me. So maybe I'm a glutton for punishment. And besides, it got me out of my office for the day. Hey. It's just a different commitment.
SAU have a written code of ethics for faculty and employees.
We do. It's in the faculty handbook. College of Business actually has a code of ethics. We have academic integrity lines in all of our syllabi. I'm sure you do have that as well.
Yes, I'm not sure that we have a written code of ethics.
The College of Business has a code of ethics on the wall in every classroom. So we have lots of different codes of ethics and are expected to abide by all of them. I want to make sure I know.
Do we need one?
Sure you do.
Do you consult from that system?
I'd love to. What's your name?
Would you accept? Ask if you would accept
I was just gonna say, would it be ethical for us to borrow your code of ethics?
Actually, I have an answer for that. Y'all, we all borrow from each other's codes. You can't sit down and come up with a brand new code of ethics. Now, if you use, okay, this is the teacher in me coming out. Y'all ready? If you use somebody else's stuff, make sure you cite them. I mean, if you take it word for word, but you can reword stuff and put it in your own words and come up with some nice flowery, be nice, be people and things. But read lots of other people's. Why reinvent the wheel? I'm all for that. I'm working on the MBA handbook right now, and I'm not about to reinvent the wheel. I don't have time. So I'm reading lots of people's stuff, and I'm paraphrasing. Anything else? Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Your evaluation form?
Don't get me out.